Personalization is a cognitive distortion where we tend to take things personally and assume that our actions or qualities are the cause of negative events. It's as if we believe that everything that happens around us is somehow connected to us. This distortion often leads to self-blame and undue guilt. To recognize personalization, it's important to pay attention to the words that we use in our self-talk. Phrases like, "It's all my fault," or "I must have done something wrong," indicate that we may be falling into the trap of this cognitive distortion. Additionally, if we find ourselves constantly dwelling on past events and blaming ourselves for things over which we had little or no control, it's a clear sign of this distortion. Personalization can have significant effects on our well-being. It can lead to feelings of shame, low self-esteem, and even depression. When we take everything personally, we constantly burden ourselves with unnecessary guilt and responsibility for things that are often beyond our control. It's important to recognize these effects and learn how to overcome this distortion. One way to challenge personalization is to question the evidence supporting our belief that we are at the center of negative events. We can ask ourselves, is there any objective proof that I am solely responsible for this outcome? This helps us gain a more balanced perspective and realize that personalization is often an irrational thought pattern. Instead of automatically assuming responsibility for everything that goes wrong, we can practice replacing personalization with realistic thinking. This involves acknowledging that there are multiple factors contributing to any given situation, and accepting that we are not solely to blame. By adopting a more rational mindset, we can reduce the negative impact of this distortion. To counter the negative beliefs associated with personalization, we can use positive affirmations. Affirmations are empowering statements that help challenge and replace negative self-talk. By repeating affirmations like, "I am not responsible for everything," or "I let go of unnecessary guilt," we can gradually rewire our thought patterns. Mindfulness can be a powerful tool in overcoming this cognitive distortion. By staying present in the moment and observing our thoughts without judgment, we can become aware of the patterns of personalization. This awareness allows us to consciously choose more realistic and balanced thoughts, reducing the tendency to take things personally. Self-compassion is crucial as well. It involves treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, just as we would treat a loved one. By practicing self-compassion, we can let go of self-blame and cultivate a more balanced view of ourselves, reducing the tendency to personalize negative events. This cognitive distortion can significantly impact our relationships. We may assume blame for conflicts or believe that others' actions are directly related to us. To overcome personalization in relationships, it's important to communicate openly and honestly, seeking clarification when needed, instead of making assumptions. Building trust and understanding can help reduce the impact of this distortion. A growth mindset can counter personalization by emphasizing learning and growth, rather than placing blame. By viewing challenges as opportunities for improvement rather than personal failures, we can develop resilience and a healthier perspective on our capabilities and limitations. Setting realistic expectations is crucial as well. By acknowledging that we can't control everything and that perfection is unrealistic, we can reduce the tendency to take things personally. Embracing a more flexible and compassionate approach towards ourselves and others can lead to greater emotional well-being. When we experience personal victories or successes, it's important to celebrate them in a healthy way. By acknowledging our achievements and attributing them to our efforts and strengths, we reinforce a more realistic view of ourselves. Celebrating personal victories helps counteract the tendency to believe that everything negative is our fault. To reduce personalization, it can be helpful to shift our focus towards external factors. Recognizing that there are numerous variables influencing outcomes can help us realize that we are not the sole cause of events. By acknowledging the role of external factors, we can develop a more balanced and accurate understanding of our own capabilities. Building resilience is essential. Resilience allows us to bounce back from setbacks and view them as temporary rather than personal failures. By developing resilience, we can cultivate a more positive outlook and reduce the impact of personalization on our overall well-being. A powerful technique is reframing negative events. By challenging the automatic negative interpretations and finding alternative explanations, we can reduce the tendency to blame ourselves for everything. Reframing helps us develop a more balanced and accurate perspective on our experiences. Overcoming personalization takes practice, patience, and persistence. Changing ingrained thought patterns requires continuous effort and self-reflection. It's important to be patient with ourselves and understand that progress may be gradual. With consistent practice and perseverance, we can gradually reduce the impact of this cognitive distortion on our lives.